Y'all, I am out testing some new camera stuff. Well, not necessarily new, but the way I'm gonna test or try it out at Disney. I've got the Osmo Pocket 3, and then I've got a DJI Action 4, like a GoPro, mounted to the front to get the vertical shot. And I need to play with it a little bit before we go and make sure it's the setup I want to take. And I was also going to tell y'all a little bit about our Disney plans and some of the stuff we've already got booked. I'm looking a little dark. So I'm just out here walking some trails. Checking things out. Testing camera equipment. It's a little bit breezy today, so I'm curious to see how this does in the wind. I have to say, it looks like exposure wise the camera does well looking forward, but when I flip it around, well, it's actually good now. It was a little dark earlier. Maybe it was just trying to get the exposure. Well, now it looks dark ahead. I guess a storm knocked down a tree. They had took out a bunch of trees and then did a controlled burn to kind of get some of the stuff under control. They had some pine beetles here, and I think they took out, well, they actually about 2 or 3 years ago took out a lot of trees, but I think maybe they didn't get enough, or I don't know, but there's always trees down. So we're doing basically a 10-day Disney trip, late October, and I'm already within my 60-day window, so I was able to book some restaurants. We're gonna fly in early on a Tuesday, and then hopefully get checked in to the Art of Animation around noon or a little after, and we're gonna be staying at Art of Animation for about 3/4 of the trip, and then we're gonna switch over to Port Orleans Riverside. The original plan was to change over to Polynesian Village, but I was trying to rent some DVC points to make it a little more affordable, and they didn't have the dates I needed because I was just going to do 2 or 3 nights at Polynesian. But it's okay, we'll save that for another trip. So we ended up, I'm still fairly unfamiliar with the Port Orleans hotels, but I watched a few on Riverside and it seemed like it was neat, and it's big, and you can still walk over to the other side and eat the beignets, and there's bicycles to rent and all this stuff. So we'll be there for a few days, and we'll actually be able to trick or treat there, so that'll be cool. So the day we get there, we're going to get there, hopefully get to the hotel around noon, hoping for an early check-in, but if not, we'll just leave our luggage there. We're going to head over to Disney Springs. I've got us a reservation at Summer House on the Lake. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so we're going to test it out. maybe spend a couple 2 hours walking around Disney Springs, get back. On the way back, probably swing by Walmart, grab a few items, and then we will, the original plan, things keep changing a little bit, was to go to Epcot and switch our tickets to an annual pass for each of us. But it turns out that particular day Epcot has been rented out by like a big company. So we're going to probably go to Magic Kingdom and swap our tickets out, and then maybe ride a few rides, check out the fireworks, and then come back to the hotel and get ready for the next day. Thank goodness, I think we finally started the beginning of fall in South Carolina. We had about a week of cooler temperatures, and then about another 10 days of around 100 degrees. And now this week, the highs are in the low 80s, which is great. So, and in theory, when we get to Orlando next month, we should basically have the same weather there that we're kind of having here now. So if you've tried Summer House on the Lake, let me know what you thought of it. We'll try to video it, give a good review of what we think about it. We're going to try to hit up Gideon's. Last time we were there, Gideon's had a pretty big line, so we skipped it. Hopefully this time we can check it out. What sucks is the Disney Springs drone show is actually over with. I don't know if they'll announce another one or if it'll be gone for a while. That's something I would have liked to have seen, but it's a free drone show they were doing at night at Disney Springs. You can see it on YouTube, but it looked pretty slick. I'm sure being there would be super neat. So first day we're gonna get there, hit up Disney Springs, come back to the hotel for a little while, maybe swim or whatever, hit the arcade, check out everything. We've stayed at the Art of Animation 2 years ago on my first Disney trip. So we're staying in the Little Mermaid rooms. People complain that they're small and all this, but for the three of us, we thought they were fine. And last time we drove, and we could actually just park right beside them. This time we're not driving, but it still wasn't that far of a walk. You got the Skyliner, and you got all the Disney buses and all that, so it's really not a big deal that I can see. I've heard it could be the same way at Port Orleans Riverside, that according to what building you get in, it could be a walk to the buses, and sometimes there's an internal bus loop and all that, so I'll keep y'all posted, but I just don't see it being a huge deal. So I'll show y'all with my phone the camera setup I'm toting. There's the pocket. It's got the Action 4 mounted on the front. I'm hoping this setup will let me do sort of a vlog, and I'll be able to capture vertical video if I want to make reels or shorts or anything like that after the fact, and not have to crop in and do crazy stuff with the footage. So we'll see what happens. And if we were to get on like a water ride of some sort, I can always just take the action off of here because it's waterproof, and that'd be good. So I've never seen anybody have a setup like this. It's actually meant to be flipped around the other way to where you could put a cell phone on here and use it as basically a viewfinder. But I was already trying to think of how I could mount the GoPro or the Action or whatever you want to call it vertical, and this was the easiest way, and it didn't cost but a few bucks. So it's got a little tripod on the bottom, so if I need to sit it down. So I really think it'll work. But that's what I'm out here for, is just to test it, see if I need to tweak anything, that sort of deal. Here's some more of those dead trees from the pine beetle infestation. Sure, these will fall soon. So I think for the first night, we're either going to just grab us a hot dog at Casey's Corner around fireworks time, or just eat at the cafeteria at the hotel, the Landscape of Flavors. And then day 2 is basically a Magic Kingdom day. The whole day, probably a quick service lunch of some sort, and then I have got us reservations at Tony's for the evening time. And I know sometimes Tony's takes a lot of heat, but we ate there before and I thought it was great. I don't know if it was just, we ordered the right thing or what, but I've heard other people say they've stepped up their game there. So I don't know if at one time it did kind of suck, but it was good for us. It is super breezy right now, so this will be a good test to see, can you hear the wind or is it okay? Not that it's going to be breezy at the Magic Kingdom, but maybe on a ride or something it might be a little breezy. Got a nice little wooden bench here, view of the lake through the woods. Perfect weather. Low 70s right now, breeze. Wind's actually picking up pretty good. We'll keep on trucking here. So the second day will be a Magic Kingdom kind of day. The third day, we're going to do one of two things. Either we're going to go to Universal and hit both of their parks, which is probably what will happen, but I don't know. The ticket prices are crazy. Basically, for the 3 of us to get a 2-park pass for one day, we're looking at like $600 and something, which is to me crazy. So if I decide that's too crazy. I think we're going to kind of mess around and go to the boardwalk area. Maybe walk over to Epcot, maybe walk wherever, Hollywood Studios. We're going to do that sort of thing. Maybe check out Fort Wilderness. We're going to just kind of play around. And to me, that makes probably more sense, even though I'd like to go to Universal again, because we're basically going to be at Magic Kingdom the day before from open to close, so I'm sure we'll be wore out. And I know if we go to Universal, we'll be there open to close, and then we'll really be crazy. But we'll see. It's just, I'm not jumping the gun on buying those tickets just yet. Like I say, $600 and some change for one day is a little crazy, and we'll have to Uber over there, so by the time we Uber and eat and do this, that, and the other, I mean, you're looking at a probably $800 day. So that, the more I say that, the more it sounds crazy. So we're already buying annual passes at Disney, so that's a lot of money. But we're going to try to make multiple trips. Basically, the amount of days you need with us being out of state is somewhere around 11, 12, 13, just according to how you figure it. So we're already going to be there 10 days on this trip, and we've already got another one booked to go see all the Christmas stuff for several days. And then I'm sure my plan basically is to go back as much as we can before it gets super hot, which is sometime in May. So we've already tested out Frontier Airlines, and it was super cheap, and we had zero issues, just me and Dawn. Now, we didn't carry on any, we just brought our personal item, which was our backpack each, but it worked out perfect. It was no problem at all for a couple of days. Couple trees already just leaning over here on this one. So my plan is to continue to get some footage, because I like making these reels and things from the footage I've got from previous trips. And I've actually got a good bit of footage just from the 3 times I've been so far. My first trip was October of 22, and honestly I kind of dreaded it. And then we got there, it was early October that year, it was hot, and we took I guess you could call it a big crowd with us, so I don't really like that, because then it slows everything down and that sort of thing. Well, anyway, by the end of the trip, I was kind of changing my mind, like, I kind of like this. We were there for a week, and I feel afterwards bad that was a wasted trip, because the first several days I was just I didn't have anything researched. I didn't know anything about Disney World. I thought we were on vacation, that we'd get to sleep in and do all this stuff. Well, anyway, after we get back, I start watching tons of YouTube videos and like fall in love with it big time. So we go back last October for like 4 days, and I had already researched puppy dogs. Anyway, I just met a super nice lady, had her dogs with her. She was walking them. So we went back last October, went to the Halloween party. I had it all planned out, and it went perfect. I mean, like, perfect. I had the lightning lanes figured out, what we needed to do and when at the party. and we flew down there, used Spirit, and it was actually a pretty cheap flight. Anyway, so that was the perfect trip, and then me and Dawn went back in March for our anniversary for just a 2-night thing, but ended up being able to hit like all the main attractions in those 2 days because I had it planned out like to a T. So this past March, the weather was perfect. It kind of reminded me of the same late October, early November weather. We did like all the main stuff. I mean, if we'd had like one more day, it would have been great, but we did like Hollywood Studios after hours, and then we did a morning at Animal Kingdom, a 3/4 of a day at Magic Kingdom, half a day at Epcot, so it was pretty cool. But I am definitely hooked on Disney now, and there's a lot of stuff I know about from other videos people have made that I hadn't seen, so part of this longer trip is going to be scoping some of that out. Like even at Epcot, we've been to all the countries and everything, but not like spent a ton of time exploring like all the shops and stores and little restaurants and all that stuff. So definitely gonna be checking that stuff out. Probably gonna check out a few different hotels. I'd like to slowly start crossing some more hotels off of the list. So far the ones on the Skyliner are probably the best. We have yet to stay at Pop Century, and I know it's a little cheaper than Art of Animation, but we just kind of fell in love with Art of Animation because it was our first one and all that sort of thing. So if you stay at multiple hotels on your trip, they will for free move your luggage to the next resort. Like if we check out of Art of Animation, want to go to a park, and obviously we don't have a car with us, and I'm hearing you can't take luggage, which I've never seen anybody try it, but you can't take luggage on one of the Disney buses. So that just leaves either Uber, which you'd have to pay for, or you just leave your luggage like with Bell Services, and they'll swap it to the next resort, and it'll basically be in your room, when the room's ready. So we're going to test that out. Of course, we're going to keep our main stuff like with us in the backpack, but the day we swap, we'll let them move it over. We'll probably go to a park, and then we'll just take the bus back to Riverside versus Art of Animation. So that'll be cool. But Pop Century is one I want to do soon. I really want to do one of the 3 on the monorail loop, and we may do that in the spring, just on a short trip. I feel like the Contemporary would be, I don't know, I could be wrong, but more of an adult trip because it's older and I like the history of it. And then I really think my daughter would like the Polynesian Village and all the stuff going on there. And then the Grand Floridian just looks elegant and nice and cool, and we're gonna probably go there, and I've never even been inside of it, so we're gonna go at least just stick our head in and check it out. The water, this is Lake Hartwell. The water is way down on Lake Hartwell. pontoon. I think they're saying it's like 6 feet down, but it looks, I guess it's not more, but it looks, usually the water is like way up in here. So anyway, the schedule, I got it on my phone here. Here's a basic, what I've started with. After we do either our Universal or just kind of lazy day, we're going to do an Epcot and Hollywood Studios day. We'll start out, so we've got a 7-year-old, so I'm trying to keep in mind that she's not going to want to walk around forever. So I'm trying on some days to do like a rope drop, stay at that park till lunchtime or a little after, and then go back to the hotel, take a break, get in the pool, do whatever middle of the day, and then, which is really the busiest time at the parks anyway, and then go back at 3, 4, or 5 o'clock, whatever, maybe do a different park. That should keep her happy. So we're going to start out at Epcot on the next day and kind of hit some of the main attractions, go back to the hotel, swim, do whatever she wants to do, and then hit Hollywood Studios that evening. And I've got Roundup Rodeo booked, which I really kind of wanted to eat at when me and Dawn went, but I felt like it would have been better. I wanted Joanna to go with us, so we ended up eating at the drive-in diner, which I like the theming of it, but I ate a cheeseburger and I don't know what happened, but it definitely messed my stomach up that night, so that wasn't good. But luckily it was just like a quick overnight thing, and by lunchtime the next day I was basically over it. But I don't know, it kind of, yeah, it was a mess. So, but anyway, we're going to Roundup Rodeo, and then we're going to check out Fantasmic. I love Fantasmic. Joanna's never seen Fantasmic, so that'll be cool. The next day we're going to Animal Kingdom early. And then, you know, when me and Dawn went back in March, we rope dropped Animal Kingdom. You know, we hit the main stuff. We hit Navi River, the Flight of Passage, Kilimanjaro Safaris, and then Expedition Everest, and then we were out of there before 10 o'clock. Now, I actually like to walk around Animal Kingdom. There's a lot of cool stuff, and it's laid back and all that stuff. So this time we'll definitely spend almost a full day there, and then we're going back on another day. But we're going to leave there, and somewhere I've wanted to eat at for quite some time, and I've got it booked, is Storybook Dining at the Wilderness Lodge. And I've actually just wanted to see the Wilderness Lodge, but I got something in my throat. Okay. My throat's been a little scratchy. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is probably my favorite Disney movie. And I like the history of it and all that stuff. So we're going to go see Snow White at Storybook and eat. Then the next day we're going to start out at Epcot. Stay there a little past lunchtime. We're going to go to Old Key West, and then we're going to take one of the Sassagoula boats over to Disney Springs and check out some stuff. And then that evening we've got dinner at Space 220, which I'm sort of a space nerd. My daughter likes it, so that'll be cool. We got that reservation already. The next day we're going to start out at Hollywood Studios early, come take a break, and then okay, we may run over to Animal Kingdom and kind of stay there till the park closes, just to get the evening. Normally in the evening there's nobody at Animal Kingdom. Then we're going to take a bus to the Poly, and I've got dinner booked at Ohana, which I've heard is like one of the best places everybody tries to book. So I booked it, like, I had an alarm set thought I heard a deer. And 6 o'clock a.m., 60 days out, I was on here booking this stuff. So we're going to try out Ohana, then we're going to check out the electrical water pageant, and then we're going to watch the fireworks from the beach at the Polynesian. The next day is going to be one of our favorites because it is the Not So Scary parade, and this is also the day we're going to switch to the Riverside, Port Orleans Riverside Hotel. So basically we're going to chill out at the hotel because it'll be an evening of running around and trick-or-treating and seeing parades and all that stuff. Probably just eat at the cafeteria. Then we will go roughly at about 2 o'clock. Last year we didn't have tickets or season passes, so we couldn't get in until 4, and it still wasn't a big deal. We just had to wait probably 20 minutes to get in. But this time, I keep hearing something. Y'all might get to see a deer come behind me in a minute. This time we're going to get in at like 2, beat that crowd, and then we can just get our wristbands inside the park. And they say that on the Not So Scary days, Magic Kingdom's sort of dead. I forgot to show you all my shirt. I designed it, had it printed. Hot Crustacean Band. Little Mermaid's one of my favorite movies as well. So this year at the Not So Scary party, well, let me back up. Last year I prioritized a lot of rides because that was our only day at the Magic Kingdom last year. So we still trick-or-treated and did all that stuff, seen the parade, and somehow we missed the fireworks while we were on Pirates of the Caribbean. But I think where I messed up on that is it gets dark sooner. At some point they bumped the fireworks a little earlier, and I didn't know that then. And as we were getting off of Pirates of the Caribbean, sorry, I got a cough drop. Voice is all scratchy. We could hear fireworks going off, and I was like, oh no, we didn't miss it. So we took off over there, and sure enough, they had bumped it back like, I don't remember if it was 15 or 30 minutes. And I didn't pay attention to that particular evening's little program because I just went off of something I'd seen online, but I think it was from like in August, so that's what messed me up. But anyway, this year I'm gonna prioritize. We're still gonna ride a few things, but since we're there for so long, and we're gonna have those season passes and annual passes, whatever, I'd like to meet Jack and Sally. Last year we lucked up and got to meet the 7 dwarves, and it was wild because I didn't even know we could meet them, and when they opened it up there was like a 2-hour wait, and I was like, we can't waste 2 hours. We came back through later in the night and they were like, listen, it's like a 10-minute wait, and literally we walked right in there. They're not meeting this year, which is fine, we already met them, but I've never met Jack and Sally. So I want to do that if possible. I know the wait times for that can get crazy. I may check them out during the first parade and see if the wait time's down. And then we trick-or-treated last year, but this year I'd like to maybe hit more of the stops. I'd like to see the Rusty Cutlass Band. There went a squirrel. And just some stuff, that we hadn't really. Of course, we hadn't rode Tiana's Bayou Adventure yet, but from the videos I've seen, it looks like at nighttime it is like beautiful. So potentially, it looks like so far during the parties it's been running like a 40-minute wait, which I don't want to wait 40 minutes. not on a party night. But if the opportunity arises and it's a short wait, definitely want to do that at night. And then I'd like to ride on the party night, Haunted Mansion, Pirates. I don't know what else, but they're about to change Tron to where you don't have to do the virtual queue during regular hours. Last year we got a virtual queue during the party and got on Tron. It was pretty cool. We tried to do it in March without paying for the individual lightning lane, but it was like an hour wait, and I was like, nah. So hopefully I can get Joanna to ride the Seven Dwarves Mine Train. She rode the Barnstormer last year and she really liked it, so we'll see. So the day after the party, I'm sure we'll get back super late. I'll probably do like the late parade, then of course the fireworks, maybe the last stage show, which is at like 12 or 12:30. I think it's at 12. And we're going to do another Epcot Hollywood Studio Day the next day. And then the final day, we're going to go to Magic Kingdom and basically spend all day there. And I'd like to, Joanna's never been out to Tom Sawyer Island and all that. And I know they're about to do away with it, so take her out there. And of course, when we're at Animal Kingdom, if Dino Land is still functioning in a month, ride Dinosaur one last time and all that sort of thing. But we'll spend our last day at Magic Kingdom, and then the next morning fly back. Oh, here's a woodpecker. I don't see it though. And that's basically our trip. So I've got a pretty good schedule down on paper for the lightning lanes. 10 days out, I'll be able to book them for the whole trip. So I've kind of picked what I want to pick for those, but from what I'm gathering, mainly you want to pick your first one, and then once you get in the park, you can start refreshing and changing stuff. So once you scan in for that first one, so that's kind of my plan, pick a good first one early, and then once we get there and scan in, start changing stuff around, because people are saying that they spread them out, when you pick them ahead of time. And with the old system, sorry, phone was ringing. With the old system, I had really kind of mastered it as far as how to make it work and how to get the most lightning lanes. So it'll take a little bit of playing with this system, but I've already been keeping track of it, different people I follow, and I think I've already got a decent idea of what to do. And basically you have to pick your first 3 lightning lanes at the same park and all that. So the days that we are switching parks, I'll basically scan in that morning at the first lightning lane, and then I'll start trying to switch the other ones to, if we're going to Epcot first and I need Slinky Dog for that evening, I'll try to switch at least one lightning lane or book another lightning lane once I use that first one to the other park, because that's when you can do that. So it'll take a little trial and error on all that stuff. I'm really curious to see on this camera, on my little bitty screen I've got here, it looks like when I come into the sunlight from the shade, it kind of looks blown out, but I don't know, it could just be me I can't really see, it's just a tiny screen. But I really think this could be a good Disney camera setup, because I don't want I don't have to carry anything any bigger than I have to, if that makes sense. And also, when you carry a big mirrorless or DSLR, people look at you like you're crazy, which I probably am. So this is a smaller type of setup, and I think it's gonna work. And if we're gonna get wet, I can always just use the action camera on the front, and otherwise it's super stable and I can flip it around and that sort of thing. The only thing I thought about changing, if I put the action camera on like a swivel, I could potentially turn it to the side. Like last year we rode the Barnstormer, me and Joanna, her first time on it. And I think I might have just used my phone, to be honest. I can't remember. I might have had action camera. You know, I filmed the first part of it looking forward, and then I flip the camera around and get her reaction and all that. But I could potentially keep this camera forward on stuff like that, turn the action camera to the side and get her at the same time, and then you could kind of see what she's reacting to, which would be kind of neat. So we'll see, but just a thought. See, here it looks like I'm dark. Let's brighten it up a little bit. I'm dark and the background's kind of exposed, but that's what all this testing's for. Then I can see what I need to do before we get there. I'm also not going to be toting my normal backpack. I bought this sling bag because my problem the last two visits was we go to get on a ride and I'm trying to put up a phone or camera or whatever, and I have to take this off and I'm dropping stuff. Well, I didn't drop anything, but I felt like I was. That sling bag, you can just whip it around. It opens from the side, drop something in it. I could even wear it, just flip it around and wear it on the front, like while we're riding a ride, without taking it off. So my next test may be playing with it a little bit, because I'm not used to wearing a it's like a little miniature backpack but with one strap. So it'll be smaller. And I also notice when I carry a backpack at Disney and we're walking a lot like I am now, my back's sweating and all that stuff. Luckily we are going to have a stroller, because even though Joanna's 7, the stroller comes in super handy because we can put a little cooler in it, and if we buy stuff we can pile it in the bottom of it. I don't know what we'll do when she gets like really older. I don't know if you can just push an empty one and act like you got a kid, but it is super convenient versus toting stuff. And with this backpack, that was another problem. I would take it off, hang it on the stroller while we were walking, then we go get on a ride. Well, I don't want to leave it like abandoned, so then I have to get the backpack back out, put it on that little sling bag. I should be able to just wear it and not get super sweaty and not be worried about dropping stuff, and be able to keep up with a couple cameras and my phone and that sort of thing. So I'll be curious to see how this audio sounds too. My voice is a little messed up, a little scratchy, whatever's going on, sinus stuff or whatever, but it's been pretty breezy today, so I'm curious to see if that picks up. But it is crazy how quickly my opinion changed of Disney World. With the first time we went, I was busy working and all this stuff, didn't have time to really research anything, didn't know what I was getting into. And I could definitely see from experience how like a family could plan a trip for 2 or 3 days just trying to not spend a whole lot of money and go and absolutely hate it, because if you don't know, you know, like when the ride times are lower, or if you don't buy the lightning lane, which, you know, I think you could not buy the Lightning Lane if you studied the wait times, kind of like I have, and knew, when to do what. Like if you, about any park, if you can rope drop it, and I mean actually rope drop it, not show it 5-10 minutes late, because that's how quick things happen. Last year, or this past March, we rope dropped Epcot from the back gate, and in less than an hour, like we had rode 4 rides, I think, and if we'd have waited till the middle of the day, that would have been like a couple hour wait. So I don't know, maybe these videos as I progress with them can help plan things like for a normal person, you know what I mean? Because even some of the videos I watch, if you don't know some of the lingo, it's like, what are they talking about? So maybe it'd be like average Joe's Disney trip and how to get the most out of it. And also, if you take a big family, you don't want to spend all that money for Lightning Lanes, you know what I mean? Unless you absolutely have to. So we'll see. But I've really spent time researching everything and planning things out, and I kind of got an idea of the schedule for this trip. And then we're going for a few days in December to check out that Christmas party at Magic Kingdom, maybe Jollywood Nights. And I'll have a little more insight on all that stuff. But I think Halloween time is my favorite time of the year because it's getting cooler. It's getting back to like it not being 1,000 degrees outside, especially in Florida. South Carolina's bad enough. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sorry, I know I've mentioned it, but my voice is all crackly with, got some kind of sinus drainage going on. It says on my phone that certain pollen is super high right now. I guess I'll wrap this thing up. I've walked about 4 miles here with this camera set up. We'll see how it looks when I get to the computer. If there's any particular videos you'd like to see before, during, or after the Disney trip, let me know. And I'll probably make a few more videos tinkering with this camera setup a little bit so I can get the colors and all that sort of thing tuned in before Disney. One of the hardest things is when you get on the dark rides, that's where the bigger cameras come in handy, because the sensor on these are so small they don't work that great in low light. But I think we can make do. There's a lot of other people using the same main camera, and I think they just got it set on auto, so I think I can tweak the manual settings a little bit and get it like I want it. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'll do a low light test before we go. But thanks for watching. If you're still with us, thought about doing some giveaways at some point, maybe some Disney stuff, some pins or some apparel, I don't know. I actually designed about 5 different shirts that I have for this upcoming trip, so I may can show them to you, and if it's something people like, I could give some away or sell them or whatever. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll see y'all on the next one.